Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with me. You know how much I love getting into the nitty-gritty of fascinating topics, and today we're tackling one that I think is going to be really thought-provoking. We're going to be diving into the art of seduction. But hold on, before you jump to any conclusions, we're not talking about cheesy pickup lines or manipulative
It's
tactics.
really about so much more than that.
Right. It's more about understanding the psychology of influence, attraction, and connection. Those elements that make someone magnetic and persuasive in all aspects of life.
I think a lot of people get turned off by the word seduction because they associate it with this, kind of negative connotation.
Yeah, it almost feels like a taboo topic.
Yeah, but if you really strip away those preconceived notions, you can see how these principles can be applied in ethical and empowering ways to improve your relationships, your career, even just your overall confidence.
Okay, so to get into all of this, we're diving deep into a bunch of YouTube videos that break down Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction. Now, this book is definitely controversial, so I think it's super helpful that we have such a variety of perspectives to draw from.
Yeah, we've got like summaries that give you a quick overview of the key ideas. We've got personal takes where people are sharing their own experiences and interpretations of the book. And we even have a few videos where Robert Greene himself is weighing in on some of the concepts.
Okay, so now that we've got our source material laid out, let's talk about what Greene actually presents in his book. The two big things that really jump out are, first, the seductive character types.
Right, like these are the archetypes, almost like blueprints for different seductive styles that people can embody.
I'm already fascinated by this. It makes me think of, like in those personality tests, you get labeled as a certain type.
Exactly. And just like with those personality types, we all have a natural inclination towards certain seductive styles. Some of us might be more naturally alluring and mysterious.
Oh, like the classic femme fatale type.
Exactly. While others might be more playful and charming, the key is to identify your own strengths and leverage them in a way that feels authentic to you.
Okay, so I'm seeing how this is already useful for the listener. It's like a self-awareness tool to help you understand your own seductive potential, right?
Absolutely. And Greene outlines 9 of these archetypes, each with their unique set of traits and strategies.
Okay, 9 is a lot to cover, so why don't we focus on 3 that I think have really broad applications, even beyond just romantic relationships.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so first up, let's talk about the siren. Now, when I hear siren, I immediately think of, like, Cleopatra, Marilyn Monroe, those figures throughout history who have just had this incredible allure and power.
Yeah, and it's not just about physical beauty, though that can definitely be part of it.
Right, there's definitely something more to it.
It's really about this air of mystery, this kind of unattainable quality that draws people in. The siren is confident, independent, and she knows her worth.
It's like that I'm not fully available, but you want me anyway vibe, right?
Exactly. And that creates this intense desire and longing in the other person.
Okay, I'm already seeing how this archetype could be powerful in a negotiation or even just making a first impression. That captivating presence that commands attention.
Yeah, definitely. And now let's talk about the rake.
Okay, so who's coming to mind for the rake?
Hold on. Think Casanova, James Bond, those figures who are known for their passionate pursuit and their ability to make someone feel like they're the only person in the world.
So it's about that intensity, that focus that makes someone feel completely desired.
Absolutely. The rake is all about romance, adventure, and living life to the fullest.
Now, this one seems tricky because there's a fine line between charm and deception, right?
For sure. It all comes down to intention and ethical boundaries. A rake, used in a healthy way, can make someone feel incredibly special and cherished.
Yeah, it's like you said before, it's all about how you wield these tools. Okay, so we've got the siren, who's all about allure and mystery, and the rake, who's the master of passionate pursuit. Let's move on to our third archetype, the ideal lover.
All right, so this one is interesting because it's less about fitting a specific mold and more about embodying the qualities that your target finds irresistible.
So it's like you're tailoring your approach to the specific person you're interacting with.
Exactly. You're becoming a mirror, reflecting back to them their own values and desires, making them feel seen and understood on a deep level.
So in a way, the ideal lover is almost like a chameleon, adapting to the specific needs of the person they want to attract.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And you can see how this would be incredibly useful in all sorts of situations, not just romantic ones.
Right. Think about a job interview. You wouldn't walk in acting the same way with every single company. You adapt to their culture, their values, what they're looking for.
That's a great example. It's about understanding your audience and speaking their language, both literally and figuratively.
I love that. Okay, so we've got these three archetypes: the siren, the rake, and the ideal lover. And as we're talking about this, I want you to think about which one you resonate with the most. What are your natural strengths and tendencies?
Yeah, what kind of seductive superpower do you already possess?
Because in the next part, we're going to dive into the actual process of seduction. We'll break down the steps that Greene outlines in his book and talk about how you can put these archetypes into action.
All right, so we've got these seductive archetypes, like our siren, rake, and ideal lover. But those are really just the starting point, right?
Right. I'm ready to move beyond the blueprint and actually learn how to use these seductive superpowers we've uncovered.
Exactly. And that's where the 4 phases of seduction come in. Think of it like a roadmap for how to move from like sparking interest to creating a really deep connection with someone.
All right, so I'm ready for the roadmap. Where do we start?
Well, Greene's first phase is all about separation. And no, this isn't like some dramatic ghosting or anything like that.
Oh, okay, good to know. I was kind of worried for a second.
It's more about, it's more about setting yourself apart from the crowd, piquing someone's curiosity and making them want to learn more.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like that moment when you walk into a room and heads turn right.
Exactly. You want to create that intrigue, that sense of who is this person? And, it all starts with strategy.
Okay, so being strategic about how you present yourself, I like that.
You really have to think about choosing the right target, someone whose needs and desires you can genuinely fulfill.
Oh, that's so interesting because, it's like we were talking about the ideal lover earlier. Like, you can't be everything to everyone, so you have to choose your audience wisely.
That's a great point. And once you've got a sense of who you're trying to connect with,
yeah,
it's all about observation. You got to pay attention to their body language, their interests, their values.
So it's like you're gathering intel.
Yeah.
You're doing your research before you make your move.
Exactly. This is where Greene's idea of creating a false sense of security comes into play. You don't want to come on too strong, too fast.
Oh, that makes sense because you don't want to scare anyone off.
Right. You want to approach things in a way that feels casual, natural, even a little bit playful.
Is that where the playing hard to get tactic comes in? Like, I'm not sure if I'm interested.
Yes. It's like that age-old adage, we want what we can't have.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
So we're creating this air of mystery, this sense of, I'm not so sure if I'm into this, to make ourselves more desirable. It's like the scarcity principle in marketing, right?
You got it. And another tactic Greene suggests is creating triangles.
Okay, so wait, before you go any further, I have to ask, when you say triangles, are we talking about like a love triangle?
No, not necessarily. It's more about showcasing your social desirability. Like surrounding yourself with interesting people, engaging in stimulating conversations, just, showing that you're in demand.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like if you go to a concert and the musician has a huge following, their music suddenly seems that much more appealing. It's like proof of their value.
That's a great analogy. We're social creatures, so we're naturally drawn to things that other people find valuable or attractive.
Okay, so we've piqued their interest, maybe even created a little bit of longing. Now what?
This is where phase 2 comes in. Leading astray. Now, again, this isn't about being deceptive or malicious. It's about deepening the emotional connection and keeping your target engaged.
Okay, so how do we do that?
This is where those seductive archetypes we talked about really come into play. Imagine, like a siren using her charm to draw someone into a really captivating conversation. Or a rake, using witty banter to create that kind of playful connection.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So you're using your natural strengths, the qualities that make you unique and attractive, to basically keep the interaction exciting and keep them wanting more.
Yeah. You're leading the dance, so to speak, but you're also making sure that your partner enjoys the steps. And, words are super important in this phase.
Oh, so we're talking about, like, the art of conversation.
Yes. It's not about cheesy pickup lines. It's about, mastering the art of suggestion and insinuation.
So instead of directly stating your intentions, you're kind of subtly planting ideas and letting them take root in the other person's mind.
Exactly. You're guiding them towards a certain feeling or conclusion, but you're doing it in a way that feels natural and effortless.
I can see how this would be incredibly effective, not just in romantic relationships, but like in negotiations or even just making new friends. It's about understanding how to communicate on a deeper level.
And don't underestimate the importance of actions, Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, so it's not enough to just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk, too.
Right. And Greene talks about the power of paying attention to detail, like remembering someone's favorite drink or, noticing a new haircut. Those little things can make a huge difference.
Oh, that's so true. It's like those little gestures show that you're really paying attention and that you care.
And, don't be afraid to show a little vulnerability in this phase.
Vulnerability. Really? I feel like that goes against everything we've talked about so far. Like, shouldn't you be trying to project an image of strength and confidence?
Well, yes and no. It's all about balance. If you come across as too perfect, too put together, it can be intimidating. Letting your guard down a little bit, showing your human side, can actually make you more relatable and attractive.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. So it's about finding that sweet spot between confidence and vulnerability.
Exactly. And, as we talk about all these tactics about leading someone astray, it's important to remember the difference between, seduction and manipulation. There's a fine line there.
That's a really good point. And I think the next phase might blur that line even more. Where do we go from here?
All right, so we've set the stage with separation. We've learned how to lead astray. But I have a feeling things are about to get even more intense. You're right about that. Phase 3, according to Greene, is all about the precipice. This is where the seduction really goes to a deeper psychological level.
The precipice. Okay. I'm picturing like a cliffhanger in a movie.
Yeah.
Like that moment where everything is hanging in the balance.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It's about pushing boundaries, creating a heightened emotional state, and really taking things to the next level.
So we're not just flirting anymore. We're getting into some serious mind games here.
Well, mind games might be a bit strong. It's more about understanding the subtle levers of human psychology and using them to deepen the connection.
Okay, so I'm intrigued, but I'm also a little apprehensive. What kind of tactics are we talking about here?
Well, one of the things Greene talked about is encouraging regression in your target.
Regression. Okay, now I'm really nervous. What does that even mean?
It's not as scary as it sounds. It's about tapping into those deep-seated desires for comfort and security that we all carry from childhood. Like that feeling of being completely taken care of and understood.
I see where you're going with this. So it's about creating that safe space for someone to let their guard down and really open up to you.
Exactly. It's about making them feel like you understand them on a primal level, like you're the only one who truly gets them.
Yeah.
And when someone feels that level of connection, they're much more likely to be open to your influence.
Okay, so we're playing with those childhood memories. We're creating this intense sense of intimacy. What else can we do in this phase to really amplify the seduction?
Well, Greene suggests introducing elements of the transgressive, the taboo.
Ooh. Okay, so we're getting a little dangerous now.
It's about adding a touch of risk, a hint of rebellion. Think about, sharing a secret, breaking a rule together, doing something a little bit naughty.
I'm starting to see how this could be really powerful, but also how it could easily backfire. It seems like you have to be very careful with this kind of tactic.
Absolutely. You have to have a really good sense of your target's boundaries and be careful not to push them too far outside their comfort zone.
This is all starting to feel very high stakes, like one wrong move and the whole thing could blow up in your face.
Yeah, you got to be strategic and intuitive. And, once you've reached this precipice, it's time to talk about the final move, moving in for the kill.
Okay, so this is it, the moment of truth. What does moving in for the kill even look like?
It depends on the context, of course. It could be closing a business deal, asking someone on a date, or finally revealing your true feelings. Whatever the goal is, this is where you take all that mental and emotional groundwork you've laid and you make your move.
So timing is everything here.
Absolutely. You have to be able to read the signals, gauge their receptivity, and strike at just the right moment.
I can see how this would be incredibly nerve-wracking. How do you know when the moment is right?
There's no easy answer to that. It's a combination of intuition, experience, and being really attuned to the other person. But sometimes the best move is actually to step back.
Wait, what? You're telling me to retreat right when I'm about to go in for the kill?
It might seem counterintuitive, but creating a sense of absence can actually intensify their desire. It's like we were talking about earlier. People want what they can't have. So if you make yourself a little bit scarce, it can actually make them pursue you even harder.
Wow, so this is like next level seduction strategy. It's almost like a chess game where you're always thinking several moves ahead.
Yeah, you got to be strategic. But it's not all about manipulation. You also have to be genuine and authentic. Remember those qualities that make you unique and attractive. Don't lose sight of those in the heat of the moment.
So it's about finding that balance between strategy and authenticity.
Exactly. And remember, seduction isn't just about getting what you want. It's about creating a connection, a shared experience that is mutually beneficial.
This has been such an eye-opening exploration of the art of seduction. We've learned about the archetypes, the phases of the process, and even the importance of navigating the after effects.
Remember, these principles can be applied in all areas of life, not just in romantic relationships.
Yeah, whether you're trying to win over a client, build a stronger friendship, or just become a more magnetic and influential person, these tools can be incredibly powerful.
And as you go about your day-to-day, I want you to think about how you can be more present and attentive in your interactions. How can you step outside of your own head and really connect with the people around you?
It's about being curious, listening deeply, and understanding what makes people tick. And remember, seduction is not about manipulation or control. It's about building genuine connections and creating win-win situations.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.